life was great. I mean, you just gotta have a positive attitude. I mean, we mentioned being in Hawaii twice. We were in Hawaii with a lot of people that hated Hawaii.
Yeah.
And we would look at each other and says, how can you hate Hawaii? I mean, people say, I feel like what was it? I had island fever.
Right.
Take an airplane, go back to the mainland and take a break, I mean.
Hey everyone, don't forget to subscribe, like, share.
To Twentynine Palms, I did my something like 45 days, 60 days, whatever it was.
You didn't have long left.
Time I had to do there. They assigned me to a computer center, did my time, and retired.
So I think, like to the modern day warfighter, to understand sort of the leadership that you experienced in that turbulent time period, right? So you just experienced the death of one of your adopted sons. Your commanding officer was mission first. You, George, you held a prominent role.
The only senior air director you had at that moment.
Yeah.
And I think this part of the story can really relate to a lot of Marines and just service members in general. That it's to the new leaders that are coming and that are surfacing is, at the time, the commander didn't really console either Bev or yourself.
No.
It was, in fact, if I can share what I remember the story of, is the commanding officer came to your house
with the executive officer, who was a good Christian.
Yeah, he was.
And the executive officer came in and gave his condolences to both of us, and told me that the commanding officer was outside, like, talk to me.
Yeah.
So I went outside, talked to him, but he never gave me or Bev his condolences whatsoever. Matter of fact, his comment to me was, "This doesn't mean that you're not going to deploy on Monday."
Yeah.
Now we're talking about Friday.
Yeah.
And our son dying on Thursday, this being Friday, I'm supposed to deploy again on Monday. And that was his first words. He said, "This doesn't mean you're not going to deploy on Monday." And my response was, "Okay." I was in shock. I didn't know what I was saying. But yeah, that's the way. It was mission first, and I looked at it from his point of view after the fact. I mean, he had a mission he had to accomplish for the air group. And he was going to accomplish it one way or another. And unfortunately, it didn't work out that way, because when I went back in and talked to the XO, he told me, he said, "Don't worry about it. You're not going anywhere on Monday."
Right.
And we should also remind the audience, at this point, you were Chief Warrant Officer.
Right.
I was, yeah.
Okay. So you went through the enlisted ranks, then got a commission as a Chief Warrant Officer. You were a CO3?
I was CWO3 when I retired, yeah.
Okay. I think the leadership mentality, although, I mean, maybe not as drastic as the time you experienced that type of leadership, but there are leaders, especially in the Marine Corps, that are mission-oriented first. And I think slowly that's starting to change, where it's like the leadership is starting to realize that the people make up the mission.
That's
you can't accomplish it.
Right.
And in something so tragic of experiencing your adopted son passing in the way that he did, there has to be compassion.
Yeah.
And I'm glad the XO at the time saw that.
Yeah,
Right.
he did.
Right,
He was a good Catholic, actually. Yeah.
And there were several other officers in the operations officer and so on. They were compassionate also. They were all on the side of, hey, we got to take a step back.
Right.
Mission is one thing, but the way I looked at it was the CO could have went to the air group commanding officer and said, "I can't do this mission next week because my senior air director son died." And there's no doubt in my mind that the air group would have said, yeah,
Right.
okay, let's go, we understand.
Yeah.
But he just wasn't in that mindset. So,
And then as you were working through the paperwork to eventually transfer to 29 Palms, because that's where ultimately both of you wanted
Right.
to go, there was some friction there as
Oh
well.
my gosh, yes.
there was a lot. I had what I call an adversarial relationship with my CO. I mean, it just at that point, what did I have to lose? You know, I mean, I wasn't going to get promoted again before I finally got my discharge. For
Yeah.
one, so I guess you could say that I had some fun with it. You know, I gave him as hard a time as I possibly could because I found out that he was, in fact, a Catholic way back, and due to things happening to him as a child, really turned him off to that. So I did things like in our morning administrative meeting with all the department heads and the CO and my S4. She was also a strong Christian. One day I sat down at the meeting as acting administrative officer. When the CO sat down, I asked him, I said, "Sir, would you mind if we start this meeting with a prayer?" And all the Christians around me looked at me as though to say, "You have a death wish." But little things like that, and I don't know. I just called it an adversarial relationship, and we made it through the 8 months, waiting to get out of the place. So
And didn't you one time borrow Father John's
yeah, it was
a collar?
my office was set up where I had a square hole that I could see the executive officer, and then the open door to the CO's office. So I asked a priest friend of ours, who was a very close friend, got us through that hard time. And I asked him, I said, "Father John," I said, "can I borrow your collar? Collar and one of your shirts?" He says, "What do you want that for?" I says, "You don't want to know." So anyway, he let me have it. And one day at lunch, I took my military shirt off, put the shirt on with the collar, ecclesial collar on, and I just sat there because I knew he would be able to see me really clear through. And I was hoping that he would remember back to his Catholic days. And when he finally came in and sat down, I looked over through the hole and I said, "Sir, is there anything you want to tell me?" Implying, is there a confession like we used to have through the hole? And he got up out of his chair, came into the office, and just punched me in the chest. And said a few choice words and went back to his desk. So
It's a
things,
wonder they didn't put
things
him
like
out of the Marine
things
Corps.
like that, but it got me through because the hardest thing was for Bev. Bev had the hardest part of the 8 months because we live, like I said, we live within sight of that
the
beach. So
Yeah.
every day she had to
Looking out, doing dishes. I was
doing
in
this,
front
is
of the
looking
window.
out
I
the
could see
window.
the
She
beach.
could see that beach.
That's why I let the boys sit on there by themselves because they could see it. I knew they were good swimmers, and I didn't worry. But it did make a difference.
Yeah.
So we finally got out of there, got back to 29 Palms, and got my retirement. And fortunately, I had a young Marine that worked for me before. He got out at 29 Palms and went to work for a company called Wonder Electric in town, an established company
In 29 Palms.
in 29 Palms. And he asked me if I wanted to come to work for them as an estimator. I says, at that point, basically, what I know about electricity is I can plug something in. He said, "No problem." He said, "We'll send you to school." So they did. They sent me to a 6-week school, and I did estimating for about a year and a half, and it just got so stressful that I had to give it up. So I decided, I got a lot of skills, so we opened up our own little construction company
Wow.
called SMR Construction.
Oh,
Sean, Melanie, Russell.
That's really nice.
Yeah, it was just little things, but we we did quite well with it, doing little odd jobs on the base. I mean, stuff under $5,000.
Yeah.
So we did well, and then I taught myself a lot of electrical stuff.
Yeah.
So then we opened the GBC Electrical Services, hired a couple of really highly qualified electricians, and then we grew from there. And
Wow.
We had that business for like 20 years,
we had,
15 years.
almost 20 years we had the business,
Yeah.
and then we went into installing and maintaining hydrogen-based
Right.
fuel cells,
Wow.
electrical generation with hydrogen.
We didn't do it on our own. You worked for UTC.
I worked for United Technologies as a contractor for them,
Yeah.
installing and maintaining them. So we did quite well with that. And one of the things that drove me my whole life, even in the Marine Corps, was when I was a kid, my dad taught me that says, if somebody asks you if you can do something and you don't know how to do it, don't ever say no. You say, yeah, I can do that. And then you go figure out how to do it. And I lived my whole life doing that. If somebody asked me, can you do this? Probably not, but in my head, I said, yeah, we'll get it done. And I'll go research or figure it out or get it done.
Yeah.
It's always been that way, and I think that's why one of the reasons I was successful in the Marine Corps, because I'm just curious. I just always want to learn something new, and it makes Bev crazy because every time if you'll mention something or whatever, I don't know something about that, I'll jump on the internet. I'll start researching that till I'm satisfied that I know what it is and how it works.
Oh my goodness! I think Dasha can attest to that.
And then what a lot of people don't realize is the hardest part in the Marine Corps life is not being a Marine. It's her being a Marine wife. That's the hard part. She has to be home. She has to take care of the family. She has to take care of the house.
Pay the bills, do the shopping.
Especially like a year in deployments, a year gone, 6 months gone, the wife has it all.
Right.
And a lot of people don't realize that. That's the tough part. And I think it applies in civilian life too. If you work for a corporation and you got to be gone, even if you're gone a week, the wife has to take care of the kids, the house, everything. And it seems like no matter when you leave, something's going to blow up while you're gone. So the wife has to handle it. Unfortunately, the Marine Corps has its own internal family, so you have a lot of people to turn to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that holds true to today. We always have people we can lean on, and people that are more like family to us now, because we're not near family.
Yeah.
So.
And when we were in the peak of our electrical and stuff, both our sons worked with us.
Right.
Sean and
Russ.
Russell worked with us, and then they went from there to they both worked on the base as electricians. Russell's still on the base as an electrician, and Sean decided to leave the base and start his own electrical company.
Yeah.
Who I help him out now with either working in the field or estimating.
Yeah.
And, now that it'll be a little different for us, I'll probably do a lot of work in estimating and things like that for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, life is great. I mean, you just gotta have a positive attitude. I mean, we mentioned being in Hawaii twice. We were in Hawaii with a lot of people that hated Hawaii.
Yeah.
And we would look at each other and says, how can you hate Hawaii? I mean, it's, people say, I feel like what was it? I had island fever.
Right.
Take an airplane, go back to the mainland and take a break, I mean, instead of complaining about it. But
I never understood island fever.
We never were stationed anywhere that we didn't like. Just like Twentynine Palms, we've been there since we retired, and it's home.
29 Palms became family, so we decided we wanted to stay there rather than come back here to New England with the weather. We'd rather stay in the desert. And we've made really close friends. one of our closest friends is from Massachusetts. And that's how we met. Well, not how we met you, but she and I met you
Yep.
at the same time.
And maybe we
Yeah.
should talk about that close family, Lorette being one of them,
Yeah, Lorette.
and
Yeah.
Father Lucius,
Yeah,
Well,
a really tight group of people out there.
we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are. We are. So,
It's a very close
Right.
knit church. I mean, the church community
Yeah.
is very close knit.
Yeah,
and
we're all of us
29
very-
Palms in general, for the old, particularly older people, it's changing a lot. You know, there's a lot of new modern stuff coming in and stuff, but you still have that core
right.
of people that have been there a long time, that the focus is taking care of each other.
Yeah,
first.
really. And some of us are from New England, so we're even closer. you
Yeah.
know. So.
And
yeah, it's
29,
special.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go. I'm
29 Palms is actually, temperature-wise, people don't understand, it's very comfortable.
I guess.
Especially when you live closer to the mountain area,
Right.
Joshua Tree Park and so forth,
Yeah.
and you're a little bit more elevated.
It's just
you
really
know,
nice. We always liked it because we come from a small town,
Hmm.
and that was small when we moved there. Right. It's still small, relative to speaking, but it's grown.
Yeah, and the temperatures get, pretty high in the summer.
Oh, summertime,
But people,
yeah.
people laugh when we say, but it's a dry heat. You get 115,
110.
110, 115, but it's a dry heat. Well, yeah, I mean, you come here to Rhode Island, and you get to 85 to 90 degrees with 89% humidity. For us, it's really miserable.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Yeah.
in 29 Palms with 110, 115.
And the dampness that
and
you
the
have
humidity is 3%,
Yeah.
4%. It's hot, but it's like here, I guess. If you live here long enough, you get used to the cold.
Yeah.
I mean, you acclimatize. You live there in the heat, you acclimatize.
It's just part of living there.
For Bev, there's no other place but someplace hot.
Give me the warmth.
Hey everyone, don't forget to subscribe, like, share.